leave a message after the tone.
You got 7 questions due. Your life is going down the tubes. What do you do when you need advice?
This is where it gets good. Good night.
What am I fighting for?
So turn down the lights, pick up the phone and leave a message for the new clan.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nude Clan After Dark. I'm your host, Caleb Schweiss.
Caleb Craig.
And Cameron.
And today, guys, we have some questions to answer. One other thing I want to bring up, though, I've been getting into. I want to do the board. You remember how we had the idea for board games and shit? Do you think that would be a better section for the main show, or would that be a better After Dark thing?
To review board games?
Yeah. Because it makes sense for the main show because it's games.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, I mean, how long can you spend on a fucking board game, you know?
Yeah.
I would say it depends on whether the board game was based off of a video game or not.
Oh,
that's
fair.
True.
Like Civilization, the board game.
Yeah,
or,
so if it's based off a video game, I agree with Craig.
Bloodborne,
We
the
can
board
review
game,
it here.
Mega Man.
But if we're just
game.
playing a board game and want to review it, I feel like that's like special content or extra stuff that it doesn't quite fit on either After Dark or.
So would you say that would be like maybe a Patreon exclusive?
One that people wouldn't strive for.
More episodes. I don't know. You never know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people that are into games are into board games and stuff like that too, like tabletop stuff. I mean, the D&D episodes did well, and those aren't video games.
True that.
They are the precursor to Diablo and every game that's like that. Every RPG that's very stat based, and you choose what your guy gets.
Yeah, I mean, there are some games out there that we can play. It'll be an excuse for us to get together, not just to record, to play a board game or two.
Yeah, and we got this game. I got it for Alex. It's called Seven Wonders, and it's like fast-paced Catan almost. It's really similar. But you have cards that you deal out, and you have to like gather your resources and build your wonder. And there's like 7 different ways to win, like victory points, and there's random cards that give you points for like specific things, so you can really start to build in a bunch of different ways. And Catan, I feel like, is a lot of Catan is luck. It's really fun, and you can still win even if you have a trash spot. But this game, I think, is really fun because you can strategize and like pick a good way.
What really gets you winning in Catan is having a plan, beginning to end. Like, what are you going to do? What is your main goal? And part of that, developing that plan is where you put your pieces down first. And sometimes someone's just going to have the resources that you can't have. It's just going to fuck you in that sense.
They'll just get the rolls. Like, sometimes you'll have one of the highest rolled ones, and it won't happen very often.
So your place and where you get to put down pieces is very important. And if you're trying to go for a certain type of win, you have to know which late game resources you're going to need most of to go for that. And so the strategy of, hey, I'm going to need more of this later in the game going for this type of win, so I need to make sure I have that resources without having to trade for it.
Yeah.
And then the 2-to-1 ports fucking clamp those down.
Yeah, I got an expansion to that game too. I got the Seafarers one for Christmas, so I have that, and then the Barbarians one. So pretty soon we'll have like Catan Weekend, where it's like all expansions, so it's like 10 hours plus for one game. And so if you're losing, you're just miserable for like an entire day while we play this fucking thing through. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I just thought about that, and I thought that'd be a cool little thing. We'll have to find a place for it, because I think that's a good point, because it doesn't really have a home in quite the same way. Fucking spam bots on the Twitch. But I think that'd be cool to do something like that. But I think it makes more sense for ones that are based off of games. I think that's a good qualifier for the show.
Yeah.
So that was just something I had thought of, and I wanted to bring up, and I probably should have brought up outside of the show, but I like to bring it up here. So, all right, let's see what we have from you guys, though. Starting with a good friend of the program here. Maybe.
Did you quick play?
Hey, New Clan, this is Chase, Ultimate Chase for this game. I got a question for you guys today. There have been stuff going on in the news saying about World War III is imminent. Do you think that's true? You guys are the most well-informed people about this that I know of, so yeah, love to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
No, it actually seems like it's being handled pretty well. What you got to remember is that...
How long ago did he ask this, though?
Today.
Okay.
You got to realize that, a lot of the stuff, there was a lot of stuff leading up to what happened with us taking that fucker out, right? One, he's a terrible human being, so there's that.
Yeah.
Admittedly, we shouldn't be playing games where we set up regimes and then we take them out later when they don't suit our purposes any longer. I don't know if that happened with this guy, but I know that's happened before with the other two big guys that we fucking slaughtered. Also without congressional approval. If you remember the Osama bin Laden thing, that was Obama going in without Congress's approval. Admittedly, we were in war.
Yeah, but see, the main difference there is who the guy was. And so this dude was basically the general, or second command for Iran. And so killing him was like a bigger political statement.
It was, yeah.
So, whereas there was like, a clean shot to take out Osama, of course. And the way they did it, there was no collateral. And then there has been more attacks both ways since then. But, I don't think it's going to start World War III. Cause when was, I don't think there ever has been a World War started with the assassination of an important political character.
Yeah, exactly. That never happens.
Did I make it on the show yet?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I think it was last week.
It's a great joke.
Yeah. Nobody starts wars for that. Especially world wars, right? So. Especially world wars.
There was a specific reason why that happened, is the domino effect. But
yeah, it sucks because, the guys who were the ones that got fucked over were kind of the ones that, turned evil in the end.
No, even if we do get into a war with Iran over this, it's not going to turn into a world war.
The problem, though, is Iran and Russia are really good friends.
Right.
Although that would be, how hilarious would that be about the whole Russian collusion thing? It's like, well, clearly that's not the case because we're fighting Russia now. That's the Trump's end game. That's what it is. It's like
he's trying to start a war with Russia to prove there was no collusion.
That won't happen.
Pelosi, please, there can't be collusion. We're fighting Russia right now.
We have and will probably still continue to fight proxy wars with Russia.
Yeah, we fuck Russia over all the time. Just little dick moves, and this is one of them because Iran and them are good buddies. Now, this is I think it's a good thing.
The term "good buddies." Iran has reached
trade
out to countries that are sympathetic to their cause, and yes, they have been doing training and military exercises with Russia and China. But would either of those powers join Iran? They don't have a pact.
Yeah.
They don't have.
And if they did, you bet your ass that it would be a lot of people against him. It wouldn't just be the U.S. against Russia and Iran, because there's a lot of big powers that don't like either of those two countries, and it would be a world war again if that happened. So there's a potential for it, but you got to realize there was multiple planes shot down by Iran. There was attacks on ships.
The one.
The plane.
The attacks by the ships, which have not been substantiated, but plausible, yes.
Yeah, and the funny thing is,
I just don't want to run around saying a thing happened when I don't know.
Well, those did happen. They did attack trade routes.
Right? Did they
stuff.
Take responsibility for it?
I'm pretty sure we blamed it on them.
I know we did.
I don't know.
I'm not saying I mean,
the hard thing is there's no reason to invade Iran. That's the thing. It's a pain in the ass. It's all rocky and shitty.
Well, the reason there's no reason to hold the country Iran. There's no reason for us to want to hold that area.
Yeah,
unless we just want to stop the unification of.
Yeah,
but the whole reason is we feel that Iran funds terrorist organizations and stuff like that. The one dude that we did take out, apparently he had, a lot of Americans, I've heard, soldiers have been killed through his actions.
Yeah.
And then the event leading up to the airstrike for him, an American contractor died, which is just a way to say hired, a mercenary or, a private security company, American, who was out there died, and then they were, I guess, Molotoving the embassy and stuff like that, and so they decided to take the dude out on his way back to the airport.
I think it's a good move, and they did counterattack. And the funny thing about the counterattack is that's a really big misinformation thing, because a lot of people think that the counterattack killed people on our side, Americans, but no one died from their counterattacks. And Iran's government even said, like, we only countered because we had to. We don't actually want to fight. We just have to do something.
So I heard that
that's
too.
a fucking terrifying idea that you have to do something. It's so bad there.
They counterattacked to show they had the ability to.
Yeah.
Hey, don't fuck with us because we can do this.
Yeah.
But we're not going to kill anyone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if that's really how it went down, then that I feel like, I don't know, that's a badass thing to do. Doesn't mean I sympathize with them, but if they're really not interested in escalating the situation, but then not 100% backing down from it.
Yeah, they need to not seem weak, but they don't need to start a war. Yeah.
Really.
Because what happens if they did kill people, it would start a war and we would destroy them.
Yeah,
completely.
if they did kill a whole bunch of our people,
there's no way there would be no stopping that, and we would just fucking annihilate them, which is not what we want to do either. We want to put them in line so they don't stop doing this bullshit that they've been pulling. Not that we should necessarily be doing that, but
it's just a big thing that I think I need to look into more before I have a big opinion on the matter either way.
It's difficult
kind of
too.
stems back to the nuclear deal, how we don't want them to develop nuclear weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's such a complicated issue, really. Iran and the whole Middle East is such a fuckfest of like intertwining conflicts and intertwining rules and breaking of those rules.
A huge place of conflict in.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of the West's fault after World War I, and how the whole area was broken up, from the outside.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to Germany. That's why World War II started, is because...
If you ever read Lawrence of Arabia, or just like read what happened during that time frame, the promises that were made, and then broken, and then kind of how that area is broken up, it was totally just so the Western powers could come and make money off of the resources there.
Yeah, and they knew that
after the war,
and that's why it's so bad there. And like, no matter what we do now, it's like that's always been the case.
Yeah. So yes, it's stuff that we have caused. I don't know. And I don't know. See, again, I just don't know enough information.
Yeah, and even
should we have attacked him? I mean, like from a tit for tat point of view, hey, he's been killing our people. I mean, yeah, you kill him, but then when you look at it for more of a geopolitical standpoint, killing this important guy is going to really make this country angry at you.
Yeah, it seems like they're backing off though, which is good.
I mean, yeah, it kind of seems like they're de-escalating, but we did send more troops out that way.
Yeah.
Iraq is looking into getting American soldiers taken off and taken out of the country.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hilarious, the difference between embassy attacks and the reactions. It's funny because some of the same people that were complaining that there was no reaction before are now complaining that there is a reaction. So really you can just see how it's all about like the red team versus the blue team, and everyone, there's no logicalness to it, but they both have points, and that's why it's so hard for us to figure it out, because we're not really part of either of them, I would say. No. Maybe more so one than the other, but not directly. And that's the thing that the news fucked up. They said that there were American casualties, and it blew up everywhere. Like on Twitter, everyone was like freaking out because
I heard Iran reported that there was casualties, but I feel like that was more for their people to feel like they got back at us.
Maybe
then to us, they said we didn't want to kill anyone. And so,
I don't think it'll start a world war though.
I don't think so. I think tensions are going to be hot
unlikely
for now, but
and then it's also tough because then you have to ask yourself, like, it is an abuse of war powers, but at the same time, you can't have an attack like that against someone like Osama bin Laden or against someone like Soleimani or Salami is what I've been calling him.
This keeps making me think of the first season of Jack Ryan on Amazon, where the main enemy was Suleiman, and so I keep getting that name.
Or
in my
Call
head.
of Duty, where it's the same. I'm like, man, this is like retardedly close to what had just happened. Like embassy attack. Yeah. It's not as brutal. The embassy attack wasn't nearly as fucking brutal as it was in that game.
But also in which one was it? Yeah, in the last season that just came out for Jack Ryan, there was a full-on embassy attack in that too.
It's like, yeah.
But that's where they actually breach into the embassy.
It's weird because if you look at stuff like some of these creative people that do these stories and stuff, like they have, like Hideo Kojima with Metal Gear Solid 2, like it's freakish what he basically predicted.
Right.
It's like they're tapped into like the subconscious.
So you want to make something entertainment-wise that really, like, you know, gets to people, and what better way than to reflect current situation?
Well, it's not even current. It's years before it happens. So
they look at current situations and look at what current people can predict what could happen, and they go with one that they feel is right. And if it pans out, and that's the funny duality of it. If it pans out, everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're so prophetic," but then like 99 out of 100 won't pan out, and you'll just be like, "Oh, it's just fiction." Yeah, and so it makes it seem like The Simpsons. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, they knew." But it's like, yeah, but almost every other, you know, creative endeavor didn't know, you know, a lot of the stuff. So it's just like, you know, just being intelligent, doing your research of current situations, and then basically you're putting forward your hypothesis in an entertaining manner of what could happen. I think if you're right, I think you put your research into it. I think the reason why the creative people like Kojima do it better, though, is because they don't just look at like political stuff. They look at like all of the spectrums, and I think that's something that I don't know if every person kind of focuses on. We all have like everyone wants to make everything political almost, but then there's like interpersonal, there's like, you know, the metaphysical, there's like belief and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that go into it, and I think those more artistic fuckers are better at that. So maybe Craig could be our Nostradamus for the show. I mean, how much do you look into as far as politics go and how like tensions go? Like, I'll like at least once a week look into what's going on in the world with Russia. And
if I see something
Iran.
on Twitter, I'll usually look at it, but I don't like go to news sites or anything because I don't really trust any of them.
But the whole part, so back like a few years when Russia basically took over Crimea, like I was like in on that, and like look like watching what's happening. I'm like, okay, because if they keep pushing, you know, forward, the NATO's going to get involved, and that could be a world war if something like that happened. But if you really look into kind of more of the politics of what happened, why Russia took Crimea and stuff like that. And why they're very interested in the Eastern European countries is they wanted a buffer zone between Russia and NATO. So you have to think, you know, you're a country, you're a superpower, and another superpower keeps putting their stuff closer and closer to your borders. And you don't have anything to prevent them from doing that besides, you know, hey, sanctions, I'm going to be really mad and stuff like that. Yeah, that doesn't work when... And so when that superpower keeps getting closer and closer, it sets up missile sites and stuff, you're going to feel threatened about that. And as a superpower, you can't just, you know, go belly up and let it happen because no one's going to take you seriously. And so that's why Russia has always been like tense on the borders of, you know, the Eastern European countries, which they had it before, and for that buffer zone. And so they took, back, I can't remember, I think it was in the 1960s or something, they gave Crimea to Ukraine, so they would just manage that area and stuff like that. But then when the Soviet Union fell, Ukraine kept the Crimean Peninsula, part of their country and stuff. And so now Russia doesn't have very many very many ways to access an ice-free port year-round. They have access to the Baltic Sea, which freezes over, and they have access to, you know, the Japanese Sea over there, but that gets cold and can freeze over. And so that's why if you look at a map, you'll see a little part of Russia sticking out. They're basically... I need to pull up my map so I can tell you the name. They are basically leasing land there, so they have access to... I think it is which sea is it? So they're leasing land so they can have an open access port all the time to sorry, it's coming. Great radio. Yes, here it is. They're leasing Kaliningrad, I think, from Poland. And that's why there's a chunk of Russia on the Baltic Sea further south in the Baltic Sea, so they have access to that port. But if that was taken away from them, as they felt threatened that it would, they wanted to make a move to make sure they continue to have access to open sea. So knowing that people who live in Crimea were mostly Russian because it was part of Russia, for the longest time until they gave it away.
Yeah.
And knowing that they feel like they're going to be threatened from sea trade, it was in their political interest to take something like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a violent takeover per se, you know,
Yeah.
like a lot of them wanted to be part of Russia anyway. They already
they were ethnically Russian, and traditionally they were Russian, going back. And so, yes and no, it was still, it's Russia
still something to
taking
watch for sure, but it's not something to freak out about like they're going.
And I don't know if
Germany
we
on it.
recognize, or how many people actually recognize, like politically, yes, it is now Russia. But it's definitely, they just needed that port.
Yeah, and so they took it. Yeah.
And so when you look at Russia and what they're doing, and how they're trying, taking over stuff, you have to look at it from a superpower trying to create a buffer zone and keep their economy going, even if certain things are threatened.
And you also have to realize they had a really hard fall. Like, if you think the Great Depression was bad, that's nothing compared to what happened to those people.
Yeah.
There were millions of them that died, just starved to death.
Right.
Not for a variety of reasons.
Not supporting Russia at all, what they're doing politically.
No. But you have to realize that's something.
But you have to
they
understand
probably
why
want to
they're
avoid.
doing it.
Yeah, and they can avoid that by having open trade if they have resources to trade, right? If they lose that, then it could fall into, privation again, and there's no reason for that if you're a world power.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
But as far as World War III starting because of what's going on with Iran, no. That's just meme culture these days.
Yeah, it's tough, though, because it's hard to say, because I'm really conflicted on this because it is unconstitutional to do acts of war without congressional approval. But how do you take someone out like Osama bin Laden without him knowing that you're coming for him? And, you have to let's throw it to the House, and then let's throw it to the Senate, and then the president can do it. It's like, there's plenty of people in this country that are probably informers and all from everywhere. And that's not a paranoid thing to say. We have 300 million people. There's probably some people that are...
the power to do that was given to the president because of what happened in 9/11 and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And, we see things like where you have very short time windows and need approval for something, then, it makes sense.
It's hard, though,
but how much wartime, how much power are you going to give a president to make a decision?
Where's the line?
How wide scale of a decision is he allowed to make is the question right now.
And that's really hard because I used to be like full libertarian on it, like you can't do that. But now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, well, we've killed some really bad people really quickly, and we couldn't have done that.
Big mistakes.
We have made some big mistakes.
And that whole
quickly,
Missling thing too. They're like, oh, we just wanted to prevent another Benghazi and stuff like that. But yes, it was an attack on the embassy, but was it going to turn to that? I don't know.
It didn't though. So
but was that because of the missile strike, or
who knows? Yeah, there's no way of really telling. But and Irad says, "What are your thoughts on the passenger plane shot down over Iran that killed 100+ people?"
Oh, Iran didn't. I think they fucked up.
Yeah, they probably thought it was something else.
So they said. I
can't imagine.
I don't know. I can't. I will have to look into it. I don't know if they have taken responsibility for it yet, but they fucked up.
Don't fly over Iran too. What the fuck is wrong with you?
There were people. It was like a flight. It was like an actual flight.
Yeah.
That was.
Wasn't it like an Australian flight or something like that?
Maybe I didn't look into that much. I just know there were bunch of Canadians.
Iran started the bushfire too.
I don't know.
Iran's trying to take on Canada and Australia.
Who owned that flight?
They played Risk for
but that was an actual flight.
Like with people. Yeah. Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh fuck! It wasn't like the last time where something like that happened, where like they were totally in the wrong place.
Last time this happened, I think where a missile shot down a plane to a whole bunch of people. That was in the Ukraine.
Yeah, it was like Malaysian Airlines or some shit.
And so
we lost a plane
happened.
a few years earlier. They just disappeared.
Which is really crazy because on Twitter there's a dude who posted a video of a missile, what appears to be a missile striking something in the air, blowing up, and then you see that fireball come down. And it looks like the missile striking the plane is what it looks like. And so you have that footage, and then you actually have footage of the wreck crashing into the ground too. It's like a security camera that's not quite pointing at the action, but you see, it's slowly starting getting brighter and brighter, and then just explosion, and you just get super bright. The camera, cuts out a little bit because it's super bright, but then you just see fiery pieces of metal just flying everywhere. And so it's crazy. We have that footage too, and then pictures of the plane wreckage show basically looks like missile shrapnel perforating parts of the plane and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a missile.
Yeah, and I think it was a fuck up. I can't imagine them doing that intentionally.
Yeah, no one would shoot themselves in the foot.
Not right now, especially.
Yeah,
Not with
it was a Ukrainian airline.
oh before.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not right now, especially with us fucking watching them like hawks, like, and the whole world really
And yeah,
watching
they just need
what's
to.
happening.
I don't know if they have yet, but if they haven't, they should take responsibility for it.
Yeah,
I mean, what are they going to do? Apologize about it? I mean,
yeah, that's not going to work.
It happened.
Yeah, it's over. They're dead.
Yeah.
You can't really. Nothing you can say.
Yeah, they said they admitted to unintentionally shooting it as they feared it was like an attack from the U.S.
Oh, see, that's what the problem with these kind of moves. Like people become paranoid and mistakes happen all the time.
Yeah.
In these high tension
Mistakes that affect hundreds of lives, and then hundreds of lives who knew the people on the plane.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Where tensions are rising again, mistakes happen. I mean, everyone likes to hear stories back in during the Cold War days where we narrowly avoided nuclear disaster because of one man, type of thing.
Yeah, even though there's a lot of evidence that he almost killed us all, but as well with the way
Which instance you looking at?
Just with JFK and like the way things were being handled, like we were really
Oh
close
no, I was
to,
talking about there's like a couple times where things happened. There was one, I guess, nuclear submarine guy who it appeared he had received the command to launch his nukes, type of thing. And
you're talking
one,
way closer than I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was another one where it seemed like it was going to happen, but they hey, let's just like calm down, let's look at it, see what happens, and then we all narrowly avoided not existing.
Yeah.
I mean, us specifically. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, us and Russia at least. Gone.
So when tensions are high and people are, or have their finger on the triggers, things like this do happen.
Yeah.
Which is
genuine mistakes.
Super
but
unfortunate.
And then it sucks because the mistakes just add fodder to the opposition's cause, right? For us, it's like, oh, you killed 100 people. Like,
I don't know. Have you seen people on our side calling them out for that and like
not really
ramping up? I mean, people knew it was a mistake, kind of a thing, and
not really. I think most people on our side want to avoid conflict across the board. We don't want to deal with.
I mean,
that
the
anymore.
public right now, we're very like not wanting to go into this war. At least the American people are.
Yeah.
It's not going to be popular for us to get into it, and so, I mean, even if Trump decides to do stuff, who knows how long it'll last.
Yeah.
I think everyone doesn't want it to escalate too far.
Yeah, and I don't think he does either. And I think he's got a point in taking this guy out, and I think it's it's a move that makes sense.
Tit for tat thing, yes, makes sense.
But don't take it beyond that. I think so far he's doing a pretty good job of not doing that.
I mean, that was the whole thing that escalated, and because we did that, that's when they had a response. And so now, are we going to keep escalating in return, or who's going to start to turn it down?
Yeah, and there's USA Today, one of the most fucking retardedly liberal, like eye rolling into the back of my head newspapers of all time, right? Some of the things some of the shit they talk about, even their article on it was like, yeah, it seems like he's trying to back off, and like they're agreeing to meet and come to terms with like getting this over with. So that's good. Hopefully
we re-enter into a nuclear deal and stay with it this time.
Yeah, something that's not shitty.
Yeah,
but
yeah. For some reason, we said, oh, they're not keeping it, so we're the U.S. is going to back out. I'll have to re-look through that nuclear deal to see exactly what the terms were agreed to on both sides. But then other countries and people were like, no, like Iran was sticking to it, type of thing. And they only recently backed out, even though the U.S. backed out much earlier. The Iran only recently backed out of it. So let's see. Let's see what happens.
I'm confident that it probably won't, because that's another thing that makes it tough is Russia and them are, there is something there. It might not be as much as the public makes it seem to be, but
another thing that irks me, even though, so another thing that just kind of irks me, people don't want America to be the world police, right?
Yeah.
They don't want us to always bump in, barge in and make things. And that's more or less probably because we don't do too good of a job of it.
Yeah.
But they also get mad when we don't intervene.
Exactly.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing.
Yeah, we become the big brother of the world, and we're kind of expected to, even though we're denigrated for it at the same time.
And then if you really are concerned whether or not Russia is going to start picking up pieces of Eastern Europe, if the U.S. backed out of NATO and did something like that, like Europe does not have the amount, the military power themselves to prevent Russia and a Russian advance.
Yeah.
Russia just has too much
They would
compared to
need
what Germany could throw out, what France could throw out. Yeah, they do have great soldiers, but it's just down to like the equipment and like aircraft and tanks they can roll out.
And you can't.
And it's their fault. America got mad at NATO for not stepping up to contribute their part.
And I agree with
deal.
that. Yeah, but it's tough because now what do the people do? We're not part of it, so we're not held to. I still think we would help, but. It's hard to decide what's morally right about actually helping, because there are some situations where, isolationist is kind of the way you should do it, and there are a lot of situations where it's like, well, these are our friends, these are people that we've allied with, these are people we trade with, these are people that we're wealthier because of, we made them wealthier. The trade has made our economy, the world economy, the best ever. Like there's the least amount of like baseline suffering on people because of the things that we've done. So are we going to let them just die because we don't want to help, or are we going to step up and help? But it's so hard, because stepping up and helping is exactly that. It's becoming world police. It's saying we have we have an amazing military with a fuckload of money going into it, and we're going to use it. But it's like, is that right, or is it not?
And then it's just it's us looking for an excuse to use it to keep
at times,
going.
And to keep them fresh. Honestly, like that's happened over the years. Like back in the day, it just like, it's like in Game of Thrones. They're like, yeah, we could have just taken the city, but we're going to kill everybody instead to keep the troops up, and
right. But it's a little bit different nowadays. The training that most like I'm talking like specialized groups. The training they go through is supposed to be worse. In comparison to what they would normally do day to day, just so when stuff happens, they've already gone through worse.
Yeah. So, and that's where a lot of the work gets done, is those small teams,
but
taking shit out.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
things have to change. I don't profess to know which way they should change, but the way it is right now isn't the best. Isn't great.
Oh, he messaged us on the 3rd, so it was still a little
fresh on the mind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I looked at the other one. I saw the 11th from a message above, but that was October.
Yeah,
so
I guess that's kind of our deal. I mean, a lot of you probably know.
Yeah,
especially when this comes out on Wednesday.
That's the craziest thing, though, is like the press just like going wild with the casualties thing. And
yeah, well, we've already complained about how it's just. It's all about outrage culture, and it's all about the headlines that sell type of thing. And so, things are going to get blown out of proportion always.
Yeah, and one of the things that Jordan Peterson that I like a lot, his thing is the reason why it seems so polarized, especially on the mainstream media, is because his idea is that those medias are dying, or it's either him or Sam Harris, one of those guys there. I think it might be Sam Harris. His idea is that it's so fractured and so divisive intentionally because no one's watching those medias anymore, and the only way they can get people to watch it is by by being as ridiculous as possible, almost by being outrage culture on either side, because that's really what it's boiled down to. If you look at Fox News, if you look at MSNBC, it's just outrage. Like, it's just outrage at the guy across the way, and that's how it's been, and it just gets worse and worse. And the idea is that it's because they can't gather the middleman anymore. That's why CNN is so left now, I think, as well, because they can't be a middleman, because there's no outrage, there's no pull to watch your stuff if there's not, busload of nuns
if you want
exploding,
to, if you
kind of shit,
Oh man,
and
it's hard to get like. I can't find any news source really that just reports what happened without, with their reason why. Or
without giving their opinion.
It's super hard to find stuff like that. And so really all you can do nowadays is to get, both sources, from people, talking extremely this way or that way, and this kind of like see what they're saying, because they'll both bring up points that the other cherry picked out and stuff like that. And so then you can start to try to formulate a center of the road type of view.
That's
hard.
You find the points that they both point out. It's like right now, Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump both agree that Iran is doing bad stuff. There's probably that's probably proof that there's something going on, because I can't imagine a more opposite person than from Donald Trump than Justin Trudeau. Like,
exactly,
what a pussy, right?
And so after the missile strike, I actually tried to go find opinions, from Iranians the best I could. tried to find other news sources directly from them. I even went onto the Iranian Twitter. Who knows who actually runs that?
Yeah,
and what it's pushing. But from what I gathered, there's a group of political Iranians who think it's just the worst thing in the world. But then there's another group of Iranians who think, oh yeah, he was an asshole. Glad he's gone.
Yeah,
and so it's everywhere. You're going to get opinions of both sides. There's no right answer for everyone, and that's just how it's always going to be.
That's how it has to be, and that's the reason why we have political debates about almost everything, because there's always good, there's a good path on either side. It's about coming together and finding one that works for everybody. And that's exactly what you see. Like,
there's never going to be a thing that works for everybody.
No, but it's the thing that works the best, at least for everybody. It's kind of the idea, and that's why we have to have the open dialogue between the two. That's why freedom. That's why free speech is so important. To me,
the best answer is the answer that saves the most lives, protects the most people. And if taking them out did that in the long run, then yeah, it's great.
As far as military
stuff, if taking them out
I
caused a war and an escalation between the two, then maybe that wasn't the right choice.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of my viewpoint on it.
That's a good line to draw, and hopefully we stay on the side of it that doesn't have.
But you can't know.
Yeah,
it's almost you can't know until you do it.
It's almost like a pointless to have that view.
But it's the risk you take with making choices like that. Is it worth the risk?
Yeah, is it worth this
of a war
potential
happening because of it? I don't know. And
and we don't know. I don't know enough to say
was he
whether it is
actually
or not.
helping enough? Was he actually doing enough and causing enough? Damage. I guess funding terrorist groups or providing them training and the knowledge and the stuff of how to do it. Was he actually doing it? Number one, and number two, I feel like he was doing it, but again, I have to read more sources.
Yeah.
But number two, is taking him out going to embolden his cause? Is it going to cause a war? It's just so much, which is why I'm not in politics, because I can't just be the president and go, well, I don't know. I don't know enough yet. It's your guys' job to bring the information.
Yeah, I think that's why
Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Simpsons movie. I was elected to lead, not to read.
Yeah,
I was elected to lead, not to read.
Yeah, I think that's why.
Apparently, Donald Trump doesn't have a high enough reading level. If you look at some sources,
yeah,
which is just sensationalist headlines.
Yeah, it really is. That's a reason why the presidents age so much when they go into office. It's like because it's so stressful and they have to keep up and they have to you have to talk to a lot of people. That's one of the things that I like about Donald Trump that he said when he was putting his cabinet together is like he said that like basically he doesn't need to be the best at everything, but he needs the people that are the best. Now, admittedly, it's been a rotating door, but that's because he kicks people out if he doesn't think they're doing a good job. Whether or not that's viable or not, I don't know because I don't care enough to look, we haven't fallen into absolute chaos, so I haven't needed to look. But like that's one of the things that I think is a good idea, and you have to have those people around you that know more about certain things than you, because you can't know everything. It's just impossible. You'll have a certain niche that you know a shit ton about, and then a lot of times that'll be the one thing that you know. And it's like the rest is just, well, you got to have somebody that knows that thing.
What do you think his impeachment's going to do in the long run?
I think it's going to get him reelected. I think he's going to be the president again. I don't think there's any doubt at all about that. It's going to fall flat because if you look at the way it's been portrayed, if you look at the way everyone, all the far lefties, the AOC fucks like her, they all wanted this the whole time, and Pelosi was like, no, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this. And now as we're nearing the end or we're kind of getting more and more fine-tuned on the Democratic candidates, none of them are going to be able to beat him that are left. Biden is a crazy person. He's the one leading the polls, and I think he's actually like suffering from some dementia. Like I truly do. I used to think that was just a joke and like people were just fucking around, but watching some stuff, I'm like, I think this guy's not well, so he's not going to win. I don't think Bernie can win because he burned his grassroots from last time, and Elizabeth Warren is just Bernie light with a more annoying voice. So I don't think any of those three are going to be able to beat Donald Trump. I think this is going to do nothing but empower the Republican Party, and it's gonna lead to his reelection. And there's no way he's going to be removed from office. There's no way. It's not substantial enough. And if it was, I do think there would be enough.
If it was substantial enough, why haven't they moved forward with it?
Exactly, they refuse to move forward.
I want to. I don't like Trump. I haven't made that a secret. But again, I don't know everything, and everyone has an agenda.
Yeah.
And so if they had substantial evidence and they actually, I mean, they've been saying they've had proof and they're going to impeach them. They're moving forward with it. And then now they've been walking it back.
Yeah, and all the proof that they've provided, I mean...
I just don't know what's going on.
The Senate has basically said that they're not going to remove him. And you can read that as left versus right, or you could read that as these claims are so unsubstantiated that we're not going to do this
and then
because we're not going to play your game.
You're just going to hear voices on both sides.
Exactly, saying either of those things.
And again, it's just like, how is a normal person supposed to know what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. There's almost no way. And so you can see it like with Pelosi, then suddenly when it gets closer and closer to re-election, and it seems like there's no chance that they can beat him, they have to remove him from office. And that's when she pulls the trigger on it. And that's why I think it's a big sham. And I mean, yeah, there have been a lot of people that have been indicted in his in office. But I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it is because we're looking at him with a lot closer than we have previously because of previous presidents like Bush and like the war hawking that went on, right? And it's not that that's a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's unfair to put people in jail for crimes, but none of the people that have gone to jail that have been part of his cabinet or part of his administration went to jail for collusion at all. None of them. They went to jail for like tax evasion and shit like that. There have been no people thrown in jail for collusion. So that whole thing basically was made up as far as we can tell. Like there's been not enough evidence to put anyone in prison for colluding with another foreign country to interfere with the election. Now there's obvious evidence of that interference with like Twitter bots and shit. But like if you're retarded enough to fucking have your vote changed by a Russian Twitter bot, like you should probably just not vote. You should just not show up because you're fucking retarded.
Yeah.
You know? So like, and it's, I don't know.
I
think he's gonna get reelected, no problem.
There's really a market out there, I feel, for for a moderate news source. Like we need someone who has the funding to really go through and just put out a moderate point of view on stuff. But then again, people aren't going to trust it.
I think
I need someone to do the research for me,
and that's one of the things that.
But then I still like if I see something I'm interested in, I do try to research it on my own.
Yeah, but it's hard because you're looking at other people's points. Yeah. It's not really research in the way that, and that's what we brought up months ago, where it was like, do your research on the anti-vaxxer stuff. It's like, no, you're doing someone else's research, so you have to do a lot. And that's why so many people are so ignorant on so many things, is because you don't have time to look up all these things to know.
The one thing I hope from that conversation and then this one is don't take every headline you see at face value.
No.
Don't take every article you see at face value.
No.
Like, exercise some critical thinking. Like if you need to, I know there's some wonderful courses on critical thinking out there, and that will just really help you, not just politics, but anything out there is, as far as, things that are going on, being able to critically think through something and help you come to a actual facts about stuff, and he'll help you form an opinion on things without being carried away by these sensationalist headlines and sensationalist ideas that just gets people emotional about it.
Exactly. The replacement for it, according to Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, they both agree on this, is what podcasts are doing, because they're unbiased. They're like the unbiased new form of media, and everyone can listen to them.
Who?
Jordan Peterson and what's the other guy? Sam Harris. They're two very opposite people, but they agree on like very important things. That's why it's
that I like. So I hate. Yeah. So you got to get people who can work together who have extremely opposite points of view. If you can't come together with someone with a completely different background, completely different point of view, then no progress is going to be made, because you can just sit in an echo chamber and spat out ideas of people who only agree with you, and you're not going to see the flaws in your idea.
Yeah.
Which is why you need to work with people who come from a completely different point of view and completely a different idea of what should be done. You need to work together and try to find out the holes in the situation in your plan. It's just common sense.
Yeah, that's why I don't block people anymore on social media. I won't do it because I don't want to get bugged by some stupid opinion that someone had so badly that I just deface every opinion they could have ever had before or in the future.
Yeah,
and that's what you're talking about, that echo chamber. And it's honestly social media and stuff like that makes it easy to become that way without even intending it. You could be like, wow, that guy said one thing that was really terrible.
But then also social media is part of the call out culture where, you find someone who's famous and, ooh, look what they did back in the day. And then, or, hey, they're not a perfect human being. They're terrible. Call them out. When it's just like you're having the, I hate
it's
that
like
too.
they don't have the same, it's like they've not had the human experience that they've had and everyone else has had where they've made mistakes.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate it. Yeah, it's so bullshit.
And it goes against the idea of, I strongly believe as we go through life and as we learn and, just have these experiences, you are still you, but you're not quite the same person as you were before.
Yeah.
You go, like people, they expand who they are. They slowly become someone else to the point where are they going to be 100% a different person? Maybe to an extent, but you can't, it's just like, you can't let something that happened way long ago really dictate who they are now.
Yeah, that's why in popular...
Unless they haven't, apologized for it, if they do have regret about it. And it also depends on what they did, because certain things are like,
that's why in a lot of the archetypal stories, like, there's constant death and rebirth. Like, with Christ himself, like the pinnacle archetype, the rebirth is... Yeah, I think it's symbolic of the rebirth that we go through. Every time you learn something new or every time you change drastically, like, that's kind of a death in a way. Like us deciding to eat healthier and work out, like you and me and Joe, like we're all working together. We have this cool, possibly uber expensive plan that we're going to fucking pull the trigger on. Like that's part of that's a symbolic death of sorts, because we're dying, we're killing part of ourselves off, the part that's lazy, the part that eats too much junk food, and we're being reborn as someone who, takes better care of ourselves. And I think that's an important thing to realize that happens and needs to happen, or you remain the same. And there's nothing.
If you're not progressing, you're going backwards.
Exactly, because you're dying. You're getting older every day, and if you aren't getting better, you're just getting worse. And that's scientifically true. Like, I'm sure you guys know this. Like, you get a little more achy after doing stuff for a while than I used to. I do anyway.
Well, I have certain issues.
Yeah, that's true.
That happened when I was still like 23. So
you don't know. You haven't really felt old the whole time, is what you're telling.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, like, it might just be compounded over the years, but it's hard not to get full night's sleep.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Other than that, though, I don't know. I feel great. I have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Can't work out, or run or do hip stuff for too long, or else my hips will start to ache.
Yeah,
that's just because they're tilted.
The one thing I notice is I can't drink as heavily. I can't do it. Like I the next day is just worse than it ever used to be.
See, your liver has been used too much.
I think it might. Yeah, I don't.
Because
I think it just goes.
I can still pack it away.
I think it just goes through the liver and like nothing. It doesn't filter anything. It just fucking. It's just another turn around the, the fucking digestive tract. It doesn't. It's like a dead end. It's under construction. They just kind of take a detour.
I think just over $200 on alcohol the other day.
Oh, you did you refreshed your cabinet like you said you were gonna?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
There's one more drink I want to grab just to complete the set.
Nice. You're gonna be the guy that like pulls out the fine glasses and like.
I have a set of fine glasses too for drinking whiskey. I have some Glencairns. Yeah.
I'm gonna come over one day like to drop something off, and you're just gonna pull the whiskey out and like, have a drink with me.
I mean, I was thinking about maybe for one of these, since it's like mid-afternoon, late afternoon, while we're recording, nude. Why not pull out some whiskey and have you guys try it on the show?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be down.
Craig doesn't seem too enthused.
Yeah.
I have some Scotch whiskey, Craig.
Oh?
Yeah, the drink from your homeland. I don't think you like it, though.
It's kind of
I like
rough.
Scotch whiskey.
All right. What Scotch whiskey?
Oh, I got some Ardbeg Ugadal, not the 10-year. The 10-year is so fucking smoky. But this one...
Is that the one you were drinking last night?
Yeah. I quite enjoy it. But it's smoky, like fucking, like I had it in my glass, put it on my desk while I was talking to them, and just sitting in my chair, like the cup was maybe like a foot away from me. I could still smell so much smoke, like not even trying to go smell it.
Nice. I love that smoke flavor. I don't know about with Scotch whiskey. I haven't tried that stuff, but
Well, maybe I'll bring
the only Scotch whiskey, I can't remember what brand it was, but it was pretty good. I think it's a good combo. By itself, I don't really like Scotch. I haven't had a good one, but whiskey by itself, I really like. So,
What'd you think of my favorite whiskey, the Irish single pot?
that was pretty good. I liked it more than the
Super
Wild
light.
Turkey.
Well,
The
fuck.
red turkey breast or whatever the fuck it was.
No, Red Breast is the one I'm talking about. Wild Turkey is an American bourbon, super high proof, and totally different flavor profile. Whereas the Irish single pot, whiskeys just tend to be very much lighter in how intense they are, which is why they're a lot more accessible than other types of whiskeys.
Yeah.
And my favorite is Red Breast. But as far as bourbon goes, right now I feel like my favorite's Bullet. Have a bottle of that. Rye whiskey. Rye bourbon.
Yeah. Man, I hope we get to the point where we can just buy it in like gas stores, gas stations and stuff. Convenience
I don't
stores.
think we'll ever get there. One thing I will say is since Utah's such a controlled state when it comes to liquor, it's so easy to go online and see what's in stock.
Yeah.
Because they purchase it all in bulk for the state.
Yeah, it's also fairly priced, honestly. It's pretty cheap compared to like
I guess
places where it's wide open.
I only
like
paid
Washington or-
$80 before taxes for that Ardbeg,
Yeah.
for a bottle of Ardbeg.
It's not the cheapest, I think, last time I looked, but it's a lot cheaper than like taxes-wise. It's a lot cheaper than a lot of places like Washington and Oregon. Those are two really, really expensive. Like the alcohol itself isn't that expensive, but the taxes on it are like astronomical, which is probably funding some of the like higher wages and stuff that they do. Their progressive, agendas, which is whatever. I don't live there, so I don't care. And you got to pay for it somehow. But there's some good things and some bad things about it. But I do see beer in Sam's Club and stuff now.
Yeah.
So they've allowed it in these bulk stores, it's nice. It's moving forward with that.
Have you noticed the percentage change at all?
I have.
As you drink it?
I have. Yeah. I noticed that I was like, wow, I had too much, and before it wouldn't be quite enough. It's also probably because I don't drink as often, so I'm weaker. I'm a softie, but I did get quite buzzed off of what I normally would have just been a little buzzed on.
Yeah. Do you want me to bring my collection the next time we record?
Yeah, let's do it. We can have some shots.
No, you don't take shots of whiskey.
Well, we can slowly sip over time.
Jameson, that's fine. You can take a shot of that, but not my stuff. It's too expensive for shots.
Roxo says Wild Roots vodka, if we have it here.
I'll take a look.
You're gonna get those special like ice cube things where it makes.
I looked into it, but that's really only for so putting water or ice in your whiskey, it's your choice. You can do it if you want, but I like drinking mine neat. But I do want one of those ice makers if I want to start mixing my own drinks.
Nice. I want to get back into brewing beer so we can do the Nude Clan beers.
Yeah, we just need a place to do it.
Yeah.
So Wild Roots vodka.
Yep. Well, I was planning on answering a couple questions, but I guess that's the one. I'm glad we got back to alcohol, though. It's better than political talk.
Wild Roots Huckleberry vodka, and then Wild Roots Marionberry vodka, and both of those are going for $30 for a normal bottle.
Nice. Maybe we should. Try
and
it.
then Wild Roots Oregon
I don't
Marionberry.
think I've ever had Huckleberry.
And that's going for about $27 a bottle. I don't know if those are the ones you're thinking about.
What flavor would you say Huckleberry is?
I think it tastes like what does it taste like?
You had Huckleberry, Cam?
Maybe. I don't know. Don't ask me.
I know I've had Marionberry before.
Anyways,
Don't know about Huckleberry.
do we want to talk about anything else, or
It tastes like Val Kilmer. That's what it tastes like. I couldn't think of his name. He'll be your huckleberry.
Oh, so it's
That's what I
basically
heard.
Marionberry is basically a blackberry.
That one sounds good.
I know Marionberry is like blackberry, but I don't know what huckleberry is.
It always just reminds me of like chuckle for some reason. That word.
Chuckle?
Yeah, so it's like a laughing berry. It's just funny.
Heckleberry.
Yeah, hecklerberry. I just get real pissed and have to call people out in public when they're speaking every time I eat these berries. Cool.
Makes me not able to stand-up comedians.
Exactly. I just can't handle it. It's not funny anymore. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I don't have anything else. You guys good?
No, I'm good.
All right. Yeah, you've been good, Craig. You just shut down when we do this.
Yep.
Cool. I guess we'll see you guys again next week. 385-204-3921. Get us your questions. We'll give you answers. Oh, shit. We'll give you answers, not necessarily timely enough to be, totally appropriate. But, hey, you'll get the answer eventually. And we'll see you guys next time.
Mankind has always been the poison.
Give up on yourselves and give up on the world.
Every puzzle has an answer.
Dumbass. Kick logic out and do the impossible. Remember that.
I'm glad I met you guys. You made me pick up on things I probably would have just gone on ignoring.
Don't believe in yourself. Believe in me. Believe in the Kamina who believes